Welcome back to the Western Working Wife vlog. If you're new here, my name is Tia, and I'm here to show you my life hacks I utilize to shuffle shenanigans every week while I run a successful real estate business, remain a competitive barrel racer, and practice the art of homemaking for my growing family. I am not your typical social media influencer. I don't want to influence you at all, actually. I simply want to provide you inspiration in your daily life and show you that you can do it all and not lose your identity. You do not have to choose between having a career, chasing dreams, and being a homemaker. It has been quite a whirlwind getting settled in at the new house. Some of us have clearly struggled a little more than others. Her little eyes are open. She's so cute. Got little spots. There's been lots of unpacking and decorating and even painting going on, but I still made time to get away and go ride my horse. This was my first ride in West Texas, and I'm gonna just say it wasn't that bad, y'all. Don't believe the hype. West Texas isn't all that bad. There's some really wonderful people here, and I loved getting to go to a team roping practice and just get my horse's mind off of the barrel pen. People will tell you that there's nothing pretty about West Texas, but I beg to differ. I have never seen such beautiful sunrises and sunsets. I have to move this water trough because somebody isn't drinking his own. He's drinking little bits. And that's a neighboring horse. He's all up in everyone's business. Look at this. Dad is awful. What did you do? Are you so excited that you got outside and you got to go roll around? That's gross. I'll have to brush you off in here and then sweep it up. We officially made our final trips to our house that we just sold in Mineral Wells. This was the final time I closed the gate to a property that I bought 4 years ago, and it truly changed my life, y'all. Because of that property, I ended up meeting new friends that were actually my neighbors, and basically they've become my family. I truly couldn't imagine life without these people. While I was in the area packing up my final things, I showed 14 houses to clients and ended up with 2 contracts. And then I came back to West Texas and built a cat tower for the cats. Babe, if I make homemade cinnamon toast crunch cereal, would you have that for dinner?
Right now?
Like, well, it's not gonna be cooked right now, but like.
I mean, I'll eat a bowl of it.
You'll try it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we're gonna do for dinner. Yep, that's right, y'all. We had cereal for dinner, and this is how I made it. So I started out with a cup of sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon in a little bowl and whisked them together. Got them all mixed up, and this is the cinnamon and sugar topping for my Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. Then you just set that aside and you grab your mixing bowl from your mixer. And I made a double batch, so I start out with 3 cups of flour plus 2 tablespoons of flour. Then you add a half a cup of sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of salt, and then you'll add 2 sticks of butter that have been cut up into like little squares. And then you'll put the mixer bowl back on the mixer and put on like the pastry mixer attachment and start mixing. And you'll let it mix until all of the butter breaks down to be about pea-sized pieces. So now it's time to add the sourdough discard or just sourdough starter. And I grabbed 1 cup out since I doubled the recipe. It can be a little bit sticky, so sometimes you have to grab something to clean out the measuring cup. And then add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And it's time to start mixing it again. After I started to mix it, I went ahead and added my dough hook attachment so that it would form the dough better. The recipe I followed called for about 30 seconds before the dough would start to form. I figured mine would take a little bit longer since I doubled the recipe. I'm also going to link that recipe in the description of this video so that if you decide you want to try this, you can follow the same recipe I did because it turned out really good. You can see here how it starts to like form and like chunk up a little bit. And this is when you may feel like you need to add a little bit more water or a little bit more flour. It just kind of depends. You just have to kind of read the dough a little bit and feel it. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there. I opted for a little bit more water and started mixing it. One thing I'll say is a lot of it is just tinkering with it, feeling it, trying new recipes, and just kind of rolling with it and seeing how things kind of turn out. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do any of this stuff. You just have to start. So I felt like I needed to add a little bit more flour. Sometimes you just go back and forth a little bit until you find the right texture. So once the dough is formed, you're going to bring it over to a lightly floured surface. I had a little bit too much flour on my surface, but it's okay. Flour doesn't hurt anything. And this is when you would cut it in half, but since I doubled it, I went ahead and cut it into 4s. And you'll just start rolling it out and rolling it into like a thin rectangle shape. You'll basically roll it down into like a 1/8 of an inch thickness. And I love this rolling pin that I got as a bridal shower gift from my stepmom. It has attachments on each end that help you find like the thickness. I think that she got that maybe at Costco, or I'm not sure exactly where she bought it, but it is super handy. And then okay, so right here, y'all, I kind of messed up and I cut these before buttering them and sprinkling my sugar and cinnamon mixture over it. And then I had to like hand transfer all of these over to a baking sheet. Don't do it this way, but I wanted to include it in the video so that y'all can see like mistakes happen and you just have to roll with them and figure out like just getting through it. It's okay. But keep watching and I'll show you the correct way to do it on the next section of my dough. This was extremely tedious to take all of those little pieces and walk them over to the baking sheet. So this is where you do it the right way. So basically you'll just get it all rolled out flat, and if you'll notice, I keep kind of like flipping it and reshaping it and stuff. Every time you like fold it up and then you re-roll it, it just helps get that shape better so you can get it as rectangular as possible. And then you'll transfer it over to a parchment paper lined baking sheet and put your butter, melted butter on it, and sprinkle it with the sugar and cinnamon mixture. And then once you're done sprinkling your mixture on it, then you would cut it into the squares, and then you'll grab them and space them out. So I was trying to save myself some time on this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and like space these out and then cut them into the squares. Y'all, this was my first time making this, so you just gotta kind of play with it and figure out what's gonna be most effective, what's gonna be the quickest. Overall, this recipe is super simple. It only takes 7 ingredients to make it. I love that. There's no preservatives. It's healthier. Even if it has sugar and cinnamon, it's still a healthier version of this cereal that I really love. So you just space all this out, and then you'll preheat the oven to 350, and then put it in, and you bake it. You kind of have to go off what your oven is how your oven bakes, because it called for like 15 minutes, but honestly it seemed like it actually took more like 20 to 25 minutes. And then you'll just repeat those previous steps and roll it all out nice and flat, 1/8 of an inch thickness. Transfer it over to your baking sheet with the parchment paper on it, and put your butter and your cinnamon and sugar mixture on it. Space it out about 1/2 inch away from each other, and then put it in the oven. And one more thing to note is if you double the recipe like I did, it will take 4 baking sheets to get it done. If you just follow the recipe as it's written, it should take only 2 baking sheets, and you can bake 2 at a time. And so I went ahead and had 2 sheets in the oven baking while I was prepping the other 2. I'm honestly kind of glad that I went ahead and did the double batch, because as I went along, I got better and more efficient. So it seriously just takes practice and just being unafraid to just try and try something new. This recipe ended up tasting so good. I will definitely be making it again. Zane and I both agreed that we felt fuller, faster, and didn't consume as much as we would if this was typical box cereal. So I think that's a win. And I will also share with you how much it yielded by doubling the recipe. I think that was the way to go. One of the very first things I asked our new landlords was if I could get rid of all of this blue. It was just overwhelming, and I did not feel like our furniture and our decor went with it at all, so they approved me to go ahead and get rid of it and give it a more neutral look. And I personally think that it made the house feel very homey. Zane feels the same, so check out the before and after of this little project. The color I went with is called Stone Terrace from Valspar brand paint, and I'm not gonna lie, on the swatch it was a little bit lighter than it ended up applying, but I still think it turned out really good. So if you're still watching, keep watching and you'll see the end result soon. I have not been up to a whole lot today. I am very slow moving today. I've had a rough couple of nights. I don't know if I've told many of you on my different social media platforms. I feel like some people know, some people don't know. But in February I took out my IUD so that as the wedding approached and stuff, and after the wedding we'd be able to start trying to have kids and whatnot. And it's been a really crazy hormonal roller coaster. My emotions have been all over the place. Womanly cycles have been all over the place, and recently it's been just total chaos, chills and shivers, and last night was cold sweats. It's been wild. So I don't think they make a ride at Disneyland as wild as this has been. So it's sometimes it seems like it's getting better, and then all of a sudden it hits me and it is not. So anyways, today I just kind of took a day of rest and kind of chilled and just hung out most of the day and kind of done little things here and there. But I finally did go outside and work my horses, and now I've got enough energy. I'm gonna finish my painting project behind the stove and up there. So anyways, that's what I'm up to. That's why I've been a little bit quiet. And videos and whatnot after the painting is completed. It felt good to get some much needed rest, and I was able to find the energy to finish up my paint project and got the house looking all cute and cozy. My barn kitty made it off the porch. Huh. I made it out to the barn now. Huh. Yeah. She followed me out to come take care of the animals. That is a wrap for this week's vlog, y'all. So glad you're here, and stay tuned for what I'm going to do with all these groceries next week.